The Midnight House on Willow Lane. The old house at the end of Willow Lane had been empty for nearly 20 years. Everyone in the small town of Hollow Creek knew the story. Some said the owner, Thomas Whitmore, had disappeared. Others said he had been murdered. And a few whispered that the house itself had something to do with it. But rumors are easy to create in a quiet town, especially when the truth has been buried for a long time. On a cold autumn evening, a young writer named Claire Morgan arrived at the house carrying a suitcase, a notebook, and a desire to escape. She had rented the house for 1 month. Her plan was simple. Finish her mystery novel. Enjoy the quiet. Leave. The house was perfect for writing. It sat alone at the end of a long dirt road, surrounded by tall trees that swayed in the wind. The wooden floors creaked with every step, and the old fireplace still worked despite years of neglect. The previous owner had left only one note. It sat on the kitchen table. Some doors are better left closed. Claire laughed when she read it. Very dramatic, she said. She assumed it was just an attempt to make the old house seem interesting. But she would soon learn that the warning was not a joke. The first night was peaceful. Claire sat beside the fireplace, writing until midnight. The storm outside grew louder. Rain hit the windows. Branches scraped against the walls. Then, at exactly 12:13 a.m., she heard a sound. A door closing upstairs. Claire froze. She slowly looked toward the staircase. The house was supposed to be empty. She grabbed a flashlight and walked upstairs. Every room was exactly as she remembered. The guest room. The bathroom. The old office. Empty. She was about to return downstairs when she noticed something strange. A small trail of muddy footprints crossed the hallway. They started near the window and ended at the locked door of the old office. Claire stared. The footprints were fresh. Someone had been inside the house. The next morning, Claire called the owner, a man named Robert Hayes. "I think someone broke in," she said. Robert was silent for a moment. "Did you go into the office?" "No." The door was locked. Another pause. "Claire, don't open that room." She frowned. "Why?" "Because nobody has opened it since Thomas Whitmore disappeared." That got her attention. "Wait, the missing man who owned this house?" "Yes." "What happened to him?" Robert sighed. "People around here like to tell stories. The police searched for months. They never found him." "Do you think he was murdered?" "I think," Robert said quietly, "that some questions are better left unanswered." Then he hung up. Claire stared at the phone. For the first time, the house didn't feel like a quiet retreat. It felt like a secret. That afternoon, Claire visited the town library. She searched old newspapers. After several hours, she found an article from 20 years earlier. Local businessman vanishes without a trace. The article said Thomas Whitmore was last seen at his home on Willow Lane. The police suspected foul play. The strange part was the final sentence. Before disappearing, Whitmore told a friend he had discovered someone close to him was hiding a terrible secret. Claire closed the newspaper. Someone close to him. She wondered who. Then she noticed a photograph beside the article. Thomas Whitmore stood in front of the house with 3 people. His wife, his business partner, and Robert Hayes, the owner who rented her the house. That night, Claire couldn't sleep. At 2 a.m., she heard footsteps again. This time they were downstairs. She grabbed her phone and quietly walked toward the sound. The kitchen light was on. A man stood beside the table. Claire gasped. The man turned. It was Robert Hayes. "What are you doing here?" Robert looked frightened. "I was hoping you wouldn't find this." He placed an old envelope on the table. Inside was a letter from Thomas Whitmore. The letter was dated the day he disappeared. Claire read it. "Robert, if you are reading this, it means something has happened to me. I know what you did. I know about the money. I know about the accounts. The police will find the evidence in the office." Claire looked up. "What does this mean?" Robert said nothing. The silence answered for him. 20 years earlier, Robert had been Thomas's business partner. He had been stealing money from their company. Thomas discovered it and planned to report him. But before he could, Thomas vanished. Everyone assumed Robert was responsible. But there was no evidence. No body. No confession. Only rumors. Claire stepped back. "You killed him." Robert shook his head. "No." His voice trembled. "I wanted to. I followed him that night. I was angry. But when I arrived, he was already gone. Then who took him? Robert looked toward the office door. The person who has been protecting the secret all these years. Before Claire could ask another question, a loud crash came from upstairs. Both of them looked toward the ceiling. Someone was inside. Robert grabbed the flashlight. They slowly climbed the stairs. The office door, which had been locked for 20 years, was open. Inside, everything was covered in dust. Except one thing. A fresh candle burned on the desk. And beside it was a photograph. The same photograph from the newspaper. But someone had crossed out Robert's face. Written beneath it were 4 words. He wasn't the killer. A noise came from behind them. They turned. Standing in the doorway was Eleanor Whitmore, Thomas's wife. But she was supposed to have left town years ago. You finally found it, she whispered. Claire stared. Found what? The truth. Eleanor walked into the room. She explained everything. Thomas had discovered Robert's theft. But before he could expose him, Eleanor learned the truth about her husband's own secret. Thomas wasn't innocent.